Okay, we are here doing the 43rd Eudoo interview, and would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Harriet Spratt, and I am a 23-year-old Kiwi. I'm a young creative, and I live in Auckland in New Zealand.
So do people call you Harriet, or they call you Harry, or do they call you...
They call me Harry.
Do you like that?
Yes, no, I do like
okay.
it. I think any kind of nickname for people is an endearing thing.
Okay.
You know? But yeah, I went to school with
Would
a lot
you
of
like
Harriet.
us in this interview to call you Harriet, or Harry, or Harriet at the beginning and Harry at the end?
Oh God, whatever suits you, I don't mind.
Whatever.
Both are my names, so
Okay.
it's fine. Whatever
Alright.
comes out, I won't be offended.
Okay. Well, because I'm English, I'll start with Harriet.
Alright.
So that's what happens if you're English. You start with the formal thing, and then you become informal. Like in France, you say vous, and over time you go to tu.
That's all of the French that I know.
That's more than enough. Okay, so let's start off by thinking about New Zealand. What are the 3 words that you think define New Zealand today?
The first one I instantly wrote down was green.
Green.
Yeah, green. And then when I really kind of started thinking a little more, I started thinking about that. The word that came into my head was like perception. You know, we're much more aware of how we're perceived by the world than I think that we used to be. You know, I feel almost as though we like take less of a stand or a stance on difficult, you know, difficult topics. And then the last one is wealth. I'm not entirely sure why I wrote wealth. I think it was more the kind of scale between, or the divide between rich and poor, I feel is becoming more and more pronounced, yeah.
Yeah. So, don't know what that was. What do you think what are the words that should define New Zealand?
These ones, oh God, I wrote these down, and you can see on my page I've got a word and it's scribbled and a word and it's scribbled, and I was very torn.
Really kind of torn about that.
Yeah, but the one that I wrote first and did not cross out was united.
Yes.
Or unity.
Yes.
You know, I feel like being a small country, we really can have that unity, and we can be really proud of being, you know, kind of a big family, I guess. And then another one is integrity. I think that, I mean, for me, it's a hugely important thing, or, you know, a trait to have.
Yes.
And I think that as a country, we should have that as well. I think it's so important. And the last one is progressive, because progressive, yeah. I think that, you know, you constantly need to be moving forward, otherwise, without realizing it, you're moving backwards.
No, that's a great observation. So, what do you think? Who are the kind of, you know, you talked about these lovely words: unity, integrity, progression. Are there any sort of people that you think, or symbols in New Zealand that represent that forward-thinking New Zealandness?
Yeah, I wrote different people down, but now that you said it, I realised, I think that Helen Clarke is an amazing woman. Yes. At the time that she was the leader of New Zealand, I don't think I appreciated it quite as much as I do now. Hindsight's a funny thing like that.
Yes, it is.
But, you know, you look at what she's doing and what she's done, and she's a very strong, open-minded, caring person.
Yeah.
And I admire that a lot, and I think that, you know, that's what New Zealand maybe needs to come back to a little bit.
No, that's really, really helpful. So, you come back in 2050 here to New Zealand. What do you think you'll see? What sort of vision and goals would you like New Zealand to have realised?
I think one of the big ones is I would like them to be independent. You know, I think at the moment we're spending a lot of our time trying to impress other countries or other people or whatever it may be, and I don't necessarily know that that's what we should be standing for, and I really hope that that's something that we kind of lose over the years. That we stand for what's right, I guess.
No, that's very powerful. So, what countries in particular do you think we're trying to impress? New Zealand is trying to impress.
I think that we're definitely trying to impress the United States a lot. Mm-hmm. You know, I look at the work that Prime Minister John Key is doing, and he's an incredible leader. Don't get me wrong, but I think that he does put a lot of pressure and a lot of priority onto, you know, getting a good rapport and relationship with the states, and I'm not entirely sure why that is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any other nations that you think we're trying to impress?
I mean, obviously, you know, like the United Kingdom, just because we're a part of the monarchy, but I think namely the States at the moment is the big one that I sort of question.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So, thinking about how we translate that positively, so that idea of not impressing anyone, and coming back in 2050, if we were to amplify New Zealandness, if we were to put New Zealandness on speed or something, what would that look like here? What sort of things might we have done if we amplify and focus on being just focus inwardly in a good way?
I think that we would see a lot more small businesses, and businesses thriving. You know, I think obviously there's a huge importance on importing and exporting and trade and stuff, but you know, like, I guess it kind of comes back to that whole like loving your neighbour and being a community, and I think that having small businesses and supporting those that are near you and that kind of thing is would be awesome. I would love to see that. But also it kind of comes back to that whole progressive thing where, you know, like you always hope that whatever country you live in will be the one that, you know, like steps out and isn't afraid to kind of go against the grain in terms of their views, obviously if they're for good and not evil.
Awesome. Okay. So, is there a particular company you think does justice to the idea of New Zealand or represents New Zealand well?
I don't even know. I couldn't think of anything for this. I mean, I think now, despite having a bit of trouble over the years, I think that Air New Zealand is a pretty good company, you know, and you just kind of think about the way that they have, you know, like their staff are always very friendly, and they even like the videos that they have when you get on the plane, I think are wonderful and charming and kind of reflect that Kiwi ingenuity that we all sort of love to hold on to and think about when we think of New Zealand.
Maybe there should be a word for Kiwi ingenuity.
Number 8 wire.
Number 8 wire. Ingenuity or something.
Ingenuity.
Okay, so when I say New Zealand, ta-da, what comes into your mind? What are the images that come into your mind?
Trees.
Trees.
Lots of greenery and beautiful beaches and smiling faces, happy people.
Is there a particular occasion or place in New Zealand that you think just epitomises what you've just described?
I would say Napier.
Okay.
Interestingly, I went there for the first time this weekend, and I was just blown away. You know, the people are so friendly and they seem to just have such kind of beautiful hearts, and obviously the place is beautiful. There's wineries and beaches, and it's just a beautiful place with great people.
So, question.
Oh God.
The big question. What do you think we can do to unite humanity? What can we do to get better at getting along?
I think that education is paramount for this. And by that I don't mean, going to university and studying whatever you want to study. I think it's more about educating and trying to understand the other, When my dad always says, he's like, when you don't know, you don't know. And so someone may do something and you're like, why the fuck did they do that? Like, they're such an idiot because blah, blah, blah. But when you actually understand their circumstance, or you understand where they've come from, or their upbringing, or, kind of their motives for doing what they've done, you go, it makes so much more sense.
You get it.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of people discriminate or box people in because they don't understand, they're not educated as to why people do what they do or the way that they have to live their lives.
Yeah.
And I think that, the more that you can understand someone and educate yourself in their kind of background and world, I think that that's just the key.
Yes.
That is the answer. Education. Learn more, open-mindedness.
Because sometimes people's intentions and impact are completely at odds.